Smiling observer. I'm sorry about the ambient noise behind us, but it's traffic. It's holiday traffic. By the way, how was your 4th of July? Well, it's getting dark, and I know the fireworks will be going up soon, so I'm gonna have to be quick about this. But at the end of my last video, I was going to tell you about how I ended up getting kicked out of a club in Tijuana, Mexico. So this is part 2 of my Marine Corps stories. An important rule of life, and this is across the board. You've got to be careful who you associate yourself with. You can't just associate yourself with the wrong crowd. If you associate yourself with dumb people, you're going to end up being dumb just like they are. I personally like to associate myself with people that are better than me, people who have great ideas, because they push me to be better and to have great ideas of my own. Well, in the Marine Corps, I didn't exactly follow that advice. Now, Marines are considered, I guess the word that best explains how people view us is extreme. But believe it or not, that extremity pays off. Because when you're facing the worst, you have to be the worst in some cases. Or for that matter, you have to be better than the worst. Because what you're facing could destroy you. But you'll have to do as my drill instructor said, adapt and overcome. And in my life, I've done a lot of adapting and overcoming. And after all these years, I see that I still have a long, long way to go. But in some cases, we can't be extreme because we do things in a military fashion. From the way that we dress in our uniforms, and the way that we conduct ourselves, and in everything that we do, it bleeds through. We also find ourselves under very strict rules, and these rules require us to comply. Now, one of those rules that was put out there is Marines are to be careful where we go. There were some places we were not allowed to go. Like, for instance, when I was in some of my training schools in North Carolina, there was a list of places that we were not allowed to be, a lot of places, list of places that we were not allowed to go. And it's strange to me that on this list were not only the names of the places, but the address where these places were. So, you do the math. A bunch of young Marines full of testosterone and stupidity. What are we going to do? We're going to go to those places. Well, I I didn't go to any of those particular places. But when I found myself in Camp Pendleton, California, and I really enjoyed California. I love California so much. And one day I'll go and visit California again. But there is a rule in my unit, and not just my unit, but just Marine Corps wide. You do not go to Tijuana, Mexico. No Marine is allowed to go to Tijuana, Mexico. And I won't get into all the crazy and horrible, and trust me when I say horrible, I mean horrible, disgusting things that happen down in Tijuana, Mexico. Like okay, I'll tell you one story. This family went down there and they had a little boy, and I think he was maybe 2 or 3 years old. Well, somehow they lost their child, and when they found their child, it was in an odd situation. They were looking for their child, and there was a man that was coming into America from Mexico, and he had a baby with him, and he was stroking its hair lovingly. Well, the people recognized that, hey, that's our kid. And when they called him out, the man dropped the kid, and he took off running back across the border. And I believe he got away. I'm not sure on that part, but I think he got away. And when they approached the child, they noticed that the child wasn't moving. And when they further examined the child, turns out the child had been murdered and gutted and had drugs stuffed inside of it. So that's some of the gruesome things that happen in Tijuana, Mexico. Believe it or not, terrible things happen down there. I wouldn't go down there as a civilian now, but as a stupid Marine, full of testosterone and looking for something to do on a Saturday night, and somehow having it in my head that I was Superman, me and a group of guys who weren't necessarily my friends, but that were familiar people to me, we decided that we were going to go to Tijuana and go hit the clubs and whatnot. Bad decision. I already feel bad thinking about it. I never should have been down there anyway. But we went. And before we left, we wanted to get a designated driver because we wanted somebody that would be able to drive. This person was going to go with us, was going to go club hopping with us, but he wasn't going to drink because we needed somebody sober. So it was 3 of us from my barracks, and we picked up this dude, this designated driver, and we picked up another guy. Now here's where the be careful who you associate yourself with comes in. From the moment I met this guy, I knew he was trouble. I knew it. I could smell it on him. This guy is trouble. He's a hothead. He's rebellious. He's trouble. So we go to Mexico, and we're hitting all the clubs and whatnot. And we finally ended up in this one club, and we were all dancing and drinking and whatnot. And the hothead gets into a chest bumping match with the civilian. Now, mind you, we're U.S. Marines. We're not supposed to be down there in the first place. In order to go to Mexico, you have to have permission from your command approved permission with a stated reason, your business, how long you're going to be down there, what time we can expect you back, all of that. My sergeant major was Mexican. I believe he had a house in Tijuana, but even he had to get permission to go there and to come back. And so here we go, going down to Tijuana, Mexico, and we're in this club. And this guy gets into a chest bumping match with a civilian. Now the civilian knows this guy's a Marine. He knows that if anything happens, worst case scenario, they'll go to jail, be in jail for a couple of days, they'll get out. He's gonna go back home, and he's gonna be fine. This Marine goes to jail, he's gonna get in trouble. He's going to get caught. He would be arrested, and he would be returned to his command, where he would be reprimanded with NJP, which is where, like here in the civilian world, we have laws and stuff that we've got to obey. Well, in the Marine Corps, we have the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. The military can prosecute you under the UCMJ, and it's perfectly legal. And they were going to prosecute him, and naturally, it's going to be found out that he wasn't there alone. If he's a blabbermouth, if he rats us out. So he would have been forced to give up who all was with him. And all of us would have been in trouble. Mind you, I was trying to keep my nose clean. I was trying not to get into trouble. I avoided doing really crazy stuff like smoking weed, like a lot of people did. There was a lot of people in the military at that time lighting up. But when they get caught, they get kicked out because drug use is a no-go. In fact, the guy in my unit popped, and not only did he pop for weed, but he also had cocaine in his system. He was a very intelligent dude, but book smarts don't equal common sense. And at that time in my life, I still figured that I was going to be a career Marine. I figured that I would still be in now, and I would probably be a gunnery sergeant or a master sergeant at this point, if I stayed in long enough. But I only did my 4 years, and at the end of my 4 years, I saw that it was best that I go ahead and get out, and so I got out. So, back to the chest bumping match. So this guy is facing off with the civilian. And so, I don't know how you are when you've been intoxicated and drinking. Well, when I'm intoxicated and I haven't drank in years, so, and I don't drink, I won't, Lord willing, I won't ever drink again. But when I'm intoxicated, I love everybody. That's just my personality. Once I get intoxicated, I'm friends with everybody. And but other people, when they get intoxicated, they get angry and they want to fight. So this guy is facing off with this guy, and I think he may have been Latino. He couldn't have been full Mexican, but he was, I think he was He may have just been a Caucasian male with a dark hair. I don't know. But in the club kind of got quiet, and everybody looked in our direction, and it was clear that this white male was facing off with another white male and his group of friends. And I wasn't even in the altercation. I was standing back, you know, with eyes wide open, thinking, oh my goodness, it's about to get real in here. This dude is a Marine, he's about to get in trouble. And I kind of had thoughts that maybe we might have to throw blows, but it didn't come to that. And I wasn't real willing to jump in. And I especially wasn't willing to jump in to help this guy out because he's a troublemaker. And I knew it when I met him. And I hadn't known him for longer than a minute when I figured this out. So I'm backing away, and I'm standing there and I'm looking at this confrontation, and we're all looking around, and these two are staring each other down. And the Mexican police comes upstairs into the club where we were. It was like 3 or 4 of them, and they come straight to me. They come to me. I'm not in the altercation. So they grabbed me. They didn't put me in handcuffs, but I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I am going to jail. I'm going to Mexican jail. They're going to rob me. They're going to call my command. Or I'll be in jail for a while till my command finds out that, hey, where is Corporal Grant? So here I am, and I am freaking out, and I'm trying to tell these Mexican dudes, my Spanish isn't that good. It wasn't that good then. It's better now, but it's still not good enough to communicate and carry on my own conversation with it in Spanish. So I do kind of struggle a little bit because I'm like, hey, I don't have anything to do with this. But the more I struggled, the tighter that dude grip got, and they were ready to take me down. So they take me outside, they take me downstairs, and the guy just pushed me away from the door. And he pushed me away from the door, and I'm standing back like, what's the deal? I didn't do anything. I had nothing to do with it. Now I know people always get all bent out of shape when someone pulls the race card, but I believe that they kicked me out of the club because I'm the black guy. And I can only assume that black guys go to Mexico and cause trouble. It has to be, so it was probably me. So I'm out on the street, and the cops walked away. And once I got kicked out of the club, I wasn't gonna try to barter my way back in because I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't want to cause any trouble. So I'm just standing out on the street. Now the 3 guys that I went with, they came down, and our designated driver came down, and we had Corporal Probst with us. Probst was an Irishman. He was Irish to the core. This dude could drink and drink and drink, and still it'll be like he's sober. But Probst was a very intelligent dude. He was a very cool dude, I never met anybody as cool as Probst. And he was a natural leader. He's the guy you want on your side. So he came down, and the other 2 dudes came down, and then our designated driver came down, and he's all bent out of shape because he wanted to stay and party. And Probst had to talk some sense into him and said, look, he got kicked out of the club. We can't leave him out here by himself. We're just gonna go. And so this guy is all bent out of shape, and we're like, look, idiot, it's time to go. We've got to get back on base, and we got to do it as quietly as possible. So we finally convinced him to stop being stupid and selfish, and then let's go. Look, there go the fireworks starting right now. So we made the long trip back to the car, and on the way back, there's vendors out there, and the vendors are selling food, and they're like, I'm like, man, I am so hungry, that looks so good, and I was probably just intoxicated enough to go and buy some of that food. The pros was like, no, don't buy nothing, don't buy nothing to eat, don't drink any water, let's go. So we left, and we managed to get back on base, and we brought the troublemaker back with us. And when we got back on base, I went to my room, and my roommate was a sailor. He was a corpsman, a Navy corpsman. And before we left, he was like, no, don't go to Tijuana, Mexico. Now this guy, he did some stupid things too. But when the guy that does stupid things tells you not to be stupid and to do the right thing, you should probably listen to him. So I came in, and he was already in bed. And he was like, what happened? And I was like, oh man, we went to a club, we partied a little bit. And then that idiot got into a fight, and I get kicked out of the club. What's the deal? And he was like, I told you not to go down there, because going down there is trouble. You get in trouble for going down there. So we're like, okay, fine. But he gave me a little bit of a scolding, and I wish I could say I never went back to Tijuana, Mexico, but I went back a second time. This time we clubbed out. Now I only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to tell you this story real quick. We're going from club to club, and we're walking down the street, and I look in front of me, and I look ahead, and I see the biggest Mexican dude I had ever seen in my life. This dude was like 6'4", maybe 6'5". And I don't know if he's drunk or not, but he's walking down the street, and he is surrounded by his dudes, And I'm looking at us, and I'm thinking, man, we might have to fight this dude, because he's walking directly into people. This dude was looking for trouble. He was looking for trouble. And as confident as I was in my fighting skills and my mental capacity to not give up and to do whatever, I remember what happened the last time I was in Mexico. I didn't want any more trouble. So this dude was coming, and he was making a beeline straight for me. What did I do? So anyway, I went out of my way to move around him. This dude finds me, and he bumps into me. And so, I'm a Marine. I cannot get into trouble. If we were in America, we would have fought. But I just let him bump into me, and I walked out of his way. He wasn't gonna get a fight out of me that night because I wanted to keep my rank, I wanted to keep my pay, and I did not need the trouble that would come with having been somewhere I had no business. So that night ended up pretty good. We got back home, and actually that was the third time I was in Tijuana. But anyway, I can't remember how many times I went to Tijuana. what I do know is when I got home, when we got back to the barracks, I'm like, I don't need to do this again. I've had enough. Tijuana, Mexico. But those are two stories, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll have another story for you next time, and I'm not sure what that story is gonna be, but as the stories come to me, I'll think about and I'll tell you about them. So that's the story of me getting kicked out of Tijuana, Mexico. I don't recommend going down to Tijuana, Mexico as a military personnel or a civilian. It is a crazy place. I'm gonna leave that alone, but I had a thought. I was gonna say something, but I don't want it to come across the wrong way, so I'm not gonna say it. But there you go. That's 2 stories down. More stories to go. This is Smart Observer.